Wyomissing Borough Fire and Police Committee to order. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded for public consumption and will be on the borough website shortly. Roll call, please.
Phil Jenks.
Here.
Fred Mogul will be absent. Ron Stanker will be absent. Fred Levering.
Here.
And Steve Brunner.
Here. Okay. I would like, let's see. Jen, I'm glad you're here. Would you, as our alternate, be voting member today on anything that may come up?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. This time, are there any public comments?
Hi.
Please state your name and address, please.
Okay, so my name is Matthew Wickman, 35 Devonshire, Wyomissing Hills. Myself and my parents had come to Borough Council meeting a couple weeks ago, were asked to show up to the subcommittee. I believe it was August 2nd, there was a series of calls regarding a very large party that was taking place on Wellington Boulevard. Earlier that afternoon, we were actually hosting a birthday party for my 5-year-old son. So party started around 5 p.m. Things quickly got out of control just based on the amount of people that were at this household. Multiple people walking through the neighborhood, littering, walking the sidewalks. I ended up calling, I want to say around 8:46. Just because there were, and I don't know if they were drunk, high, whatever the situation was, there were individuals just laying in our front yard. I'm disappointed. Number of different things. First, that something like that would occur in a residential neighborhood. Second, just the response and the number of times that the police had to come out after 2 a.m. shots being fired in the neighborhood itself. So I know it's an ongoing investigation. I know there are probably specifics that we can't talk about. I know I called, you guys showed up, I want to say around 8:46. I believe there was another visit somewhere around 11 p.m. and then ultimately what resulted in terms of just the discharge in the neighborhood. I'm upset at the homeowner, I'm upset at the son that hosted the party, obviously the promoter and the person that decided that it was a smart idea to shoot the gun off. I'm also disappointed it took 3 attempts to recognize the fact that this was out of control. And it shouldn't have led to what happened. So I'm just trying to get an understanding in terms of, we brought up, I guess, a noise ordinance or something like that. What is available for the residents of the community to do and feel like you are being empowered to do it from the police, from the fire? Like, I support you guys fully. It's not an easy job by any means, but I just feel like the path that was taken probably wasn't the most appropriate result in terms of what occurred. So I don't know if anybody can speak a little bit further on that, but that's why I'm here today.
Chief, would you like?
So with that, before the shots fired call, we received one call from Berks Radio. As you said, it was about trash and lots of people in the area. We responded to that call. The next one that we can definitely say was associated to that had to do with the shots fired. As far as noise goes, the borough does not have a noise ordinance per se. I have started a discussion with the borough manager about this, that with noise ordinances, when they're written to a point where that it gives language that leaves open for interpretation as to what the violation is, that's not good, because your interpretation to what is a nuisance could be different than somebody else's. So if the borough were to implement such an ordinance, then I would ask that we would have some kind of decibel reading number on that ordinance as to what is the actual nuisance. And then we're gonna have to obtain decibel meters so that if we get a call about something or we hear something, that we can put it out there and see what it's actually reading or not. That's just what makes it fair, because then we know at this distance, at this level, this is a violation. And it just takes that interpretation out as to what one person feel is a nuisance and what is not. I want to talk about the actual host of that with the solicitor, because I have some thoughts about that as the possible things with some borough ordinances that we have. I want to clarify some interpretations with him. I've asked to speak to him today. So that's kind of ongoing as well. As far as the shots fired, we have not stopped investigating that. We need help on that one, though. As you saw in the paper, we arrested 2 for the one that happened over here. We had a lot of evidence that we could work with that. This one, we don't have a lot. So I put it out there for the public that if they have video, if they were there, if they saw something, know something that we can get that, we need that help for that one.
Is there a reason the detective took until the following Friday to walk around?
Detectives you may not know this, but they were working on it from the next day on. That didn't stop, it didn't start, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't start what you're thinking. They were trying to work on that prior to that. When we have situations like that, I don't know where things are gonna go right away, but I try to give them some time to develop evidence on things. Because if we tip our hand too soon, it makes it sometimes more difficult for us to make apprehensions, make arrests. So they were working on it. I can assure you of that. It was not a week later. They may have gotten to your location at that point, but they were doing other things before that.
This is a weird situation, but you notice several hundred people at a party that started, let's say, around 5 p.m. because that's when the MC was coming on. It was during our son's birthday party. Like, that just, I don't know.
There's no law anywhere that says how many people you could have at your home in any kind of gathering. People were over the age of 21, so you don't have an underage situation going on. So we just can't go to somebody and say, you have too many people in your home. That's
because of the lack of noise ordinance,
Oh.
the MC and everything. I'm
Right.
just trying.
right. I understand. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. Like, when we get something like that, just because there's a lot of people there and there's some noise, and like I said, I think we might be able to do something about that. And that's why I want to confirm with the solicitor. I don't want to say this is what we're going to do because I don't know if we're going to do it yet. I don't think that's fair. I don't like to say things that aren't truthful. But that's not something that's not allowed. You're allowed to have people at your home. So we can't just go by the number of people at somebody's house. But like I said, I checked with Berks Radio. We received 1 call, and it had to do with trash and people around. We did not receive several calls from several people talking about noise throughout the night. But it was just 1 call.
I would recommend listening to that phone call because I did place that phone call and I told the operator exactly what was going on.
No,
So
I'm
it
not
was-
saying that you didn't. I'm saying there weren't multiple calls. That's
No,
what I'm saying.
I understand. And from our standpoint, just prompting the call, I'm 3 or 4 houses down the block on Devonshire, 2 houses away from it occurred, and just like there's multiple mistakes. Like it should the initial phone call I don't know how did come from the neighbors. So again, I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I just grew up here. I worked for the borough for several years under Jim Babb. Diana Collinger, Ken Robinson, and take a lot of pride in the community, and we're raising some voice here. And for two events occurring like this in such a close time frame, it's a difficult pill to swallow. So.
I understand it. I don't like it happening. I live here as well, you know, and I'm raising my family here too, my son. I get all that, and that's why we're working hard to try to come to a successful resolution on both incidents, not just the one.
Chief, ironically, after we got done with that meeting, Jill Scheit had sent an email to Fred Mogul and I about an article in the Wall Street Journal about enforcing noise ordinances, and I don't subscribe to the Journal, can't get it, but perhaps you have access about.
I saw that email as well, and I emailed her back because I want to know exactly what she's hearing and where. Where I live, you hear the highway. You know, it's funneled through there, and you know, it gets loud. And I don't know if that's what she's hearing. She never got back to me, so I don't know. But she made it sound like it was vehicles, as I understood that in that email. And I don't know, and that would be something if we enact this kind of thing, and we have to look at, I don't know if we can enforce the highway kind of thing, you know? That would be something that, you know, it all have to be looked at if this is something that gets enacted eventually.
Once the road to nowhere started going somewhere, it was all over from that standpoint, but she lives near the circle.
Yeah, no,
So
I
I'm
know
guessing
that.
it was more that.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not, it's a pervasive problem, and I'm glad that you're looking into it.
Yeah, what she was talking about, there are some monitors out there, and it sounds as though it's almost like there are monitors out there that can hear gunshots and tell you where they're coming from and things like that. It sounds as though it's something similar to that with just noise, and it counts the decibel, and you know, it has cameras associated to it, so if a car goes by that's loud, it's snapping a picture, and it's kind of like you go through a red light in a first-class city like Philadelphia, and send you a citation if it's monitored. It sounds like it's that type of technology.
So, Chief, it's fair to say that, you know, again, you know, this is still an ongoing investigation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. And like I said, I'm honestly, we need some help on it, but you know, they're still trying to work things.
I understand, and as you said at to the individuals at the council meeting, you know, or no, you weren't here, you had another investigation.
And I apologize for that.
You know, we said at that meeting, you know, you hear it on the news all the time, you know, police department needs help. Tell me nobody knows who fired that gun. And it was just like in Philadelphia, you know, 50 people around, but nobody saw somebody fire a gun. Well, Ray Charles can see that's not true. So all I'm saying is we need the help of the public. You know, police department are doing everything they can, but they weren't there when it happened. So while the police department is doing everything they can possibly do, both that can be seen and things that can't be seen by the public, it's still an ongoing investigation, but it would really be nice if somebody were to help and come forward and say, I screwed up.
It's not something
Okay.
in power either.
So
It's not normal to see
no.
a bouncer frisking people walking into a house.
No,
that's right. That's right. And there is an ordinance against discharging a firearm in the borough.
It's nice to know.
but having those two shootings so close in time is particularly upsetting.
Well, it's not really. One is
I
they're separate. One is as important
that,
on its own volition as the other one is.
I understand that, but people still feel vulnerable.
So
And they feel like
okay.
things are changing.
Do we have any other public comments?
I do as well. My name is Kristen, ISD 462 Warwick. I did not intend to say something, but I did want to clarify, just to try to give some clarity as to how the residents are feeling as I live around the corner from there. And there was another call about the intersection of Wellington and State Hill. So while that's not where the house is, it's maybe 2-3 blocks down the road, for multiple individuals and cars on the side of the road. And it says they arrived at 2140 and they cleared it at 2141, their cars were gone. And so I think in reading the progression and the reports that are reflected in the blotter, and I know there's more to them, but I mean, it seems like they were called out 2 times for an incident. And I think it feels unsettling to know that these things can be happening and then to be told that there's nothing that police can do to prevent them. I mean, I lived on the corner of Wellington and Cheltenham and I had mouse come into my backyard because our neighbor called me with music playing and there were 4 people sitting in the back with a dog, and he walked into the yard and said that there was a complaint and we needed to be mindful, and this was years ago. But that compared to handling of this situation, I think it is remiss to not have something in place that could prevent this from happening again. I mean, I was looking at, what's the difference between having a gathering of this many people and maybe like a block party or something that's an event that would need permitting? Like, is there anything? It just seems like it was poorly handled looking at what we have access to. I think that is what I want to communicate. I don't think it's being poorly handled. I definitely think that you guys are putting time into it and trying to figure out what happened, but it doesn't feel preventable if something like this were happening. And there was another party a block over on Wednesday night of last week, again, with kids in the street, intoxicated. So it seems to be happening more and more, and it feels like there's no, you're pretty much saying there's no way to stop it. You can have hundreds of people in your house and they're not throwing trash in other people's yards. They can't be broken up. Or if you come 3 blocks away, the swimmers are gone, you can't drive up and make sure that the party actually dispersed. Like, that's, I think, how it's being received. And I want to share that candidly, because it feels like we don't have a way to prevent something like this from happening again, from what we're being told.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I've just noticed over the last several meetings that we've received many more people in attendance making statements after the fact compared to the number of phone calls we're receiving. If there was a party on Wednesday, do we know, did you make a phone call about it? If there was intoxicated people on the streets? Like, it is I think our responsibility as citizens, if we're seeing this and we want action to be taken, for each and every neighbor to make a phone call.
I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, is that how this was handled? So
Well, but we only received 2 to 3 phone calls, and at the times,
But
I mean, we're,
maybe because he
Well,
was told he had 1 and this was
So,
3 blocks away.
but you're saying, ma'am, with all due respect, with the one with the cars, okay? There's what you know and what you can prove in things. So there are cars pulled over on State Hill Road all the time. Can you 100% definitively say that a couple cars pulled over, that those people were at that party? Can you honestly say 100%?
No,
exactly. So we cannot say 100% that those people were involved in that party. But we did go and check, and as I said, there were no cars there any longer when we got there. So it's not like we just blew it off and did nothing. But, we can't say for sure that that call is related. Could it have been? 100% I agree. And it probably was. Probably I'll go there. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I can say with 100% certainty, which is what I said. I don't like to say things that I can't. Probably was, but we can't say that for sure. So, and that's why I said what I said, because we can't prove that. But we did go and check on that call as well, but they left. So there wasn't anybody there for us to talk to or anything like that at that point.
I mean, I guess to me it would logically make sense to then go down to see what was happening 3 blocks away. And that's kind of how it feels like it it doesn't seem like that happened because it's past
Did you call the police?
I did not call the police. I don't live on that block, but
But you witnessed this?
no, I'm reading what was reflected in.
Oh, you're reading, okay. Well, a lot of that's hearsay too, as you know.
I understand that. I am just trying to.
So, okay, we need to continue, keep going here. We can go round and round. The chief is looking into these. You know, as the mayor said the other night at the council meeting, if you see something or call the police. You don't have to not live in that block to call the police. You can, don't be afraid to call them. That's what they're here for. So if you see something, regardless whether you live in that block or not, call. We're all one community here. We need to be community minded.
Trying to express how the community feels, and you stopped me in the middle of my sentence. So I think that
We're good. Okay, thank you. Are there any other public comments?
You got SD462 work. I just want to ask you, you mentioned that you checked identification and then everybody was over 21. How many identifications did you check?
I personally didn't check any.
Okay, I think that's my concern is perhaps some due diligence on the front end may have stopped some situations because of, as Matt mentioned, it's quite a lot of people. Honestly,
Have a whole
different
cadre of people.
But my point is, if there was 50 or 60 people, generally, if they're close to of age, there's some due diligence in checking their identification. So I just think that might have been an area where something was missed. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other public comments? Hearing none, we will move on. Western Berks Ambulance, Tony.
You have our report in your packet. Again, busy month, busy year. Continuing to try and mitigate staffing issues across the board. Anyone knows any paramedics will gladly take a look and hire them. But 271 calls for the shift breakdown, most of them on day shift because then that's when our call volume's there. Most of them handled by the truck in station in West Reading that covers this also. 1 minute 23 dispatch to responding, 9 minutes responding to on scene. And remember that number is very frugal because depending on the call type, that can skew it. Because for non-emergency calls that are dispatched as BLS, we don't go lights and sirens to them, so it's normal flow. We spend an average of 13 minutes on scene, which is well under our 20 minutes that we look at. Other than that, it's been a very busy month. You can see the breakdown of the townships. We did have a banner month last month with dispatches. So there we go. I think that's all I have.
What's the reimbursements will fall?
Your words to everyone's ears. There's the breakdown you wanted for Country Meadows and that. And again, just most of the calls are 271 and we've got about 50 that are kind of nursing homes. So most of them are still borough residents. Happy to note that Robizonia and Wilmelsdorf are becoming municipal members.
Fantastic.
So we're working on more too. So
I think it is important to just give a reminder that effective the beginning of this year, or last year, Wyomissing Borough Council elected to pay membership for emergency medical services for every resident in the borough of Wyomissing. And that's been going along very well. And that even extends outside the municipality. If you require an ambulance in Muhlenberg Township, the Wyomissing membership will pay for the Muhlenberg ambulance to take you to the hospital. So it's a great program, second year now, and we've received very favorable comments on it. And anything, that's wonderful, Tony. Is anybody got anything for Tony? You have anything else?
just to point out, Janet had pointed out a customer of ours who was at Reading Hospital who needed to be transported to another facility. You can request to have Western Berks transport you. Need to make sure that you know that to do that. The person was transported by another agency. They received a bill because it's a non-emergency, where our municipal covers the emergencies. Their bill was quite high to the point.
1,600.
And that was for a non-emergency transport. Ours is like about $500-600 for that, you know. So they can request it in a non-emergency situation at a hospital.
So, very good.
We're working with them to see if we can get anything taken care of, but they did apply for some services and see what happens.
Good. I've seen a lot of state EMS stuff in the paper, you know, press. Is that getting anywhere, or is it just smoke and mirrors right now?
A lot of it's smoke and mirrors. A lawsuit again was filed in Lackawanna County by 5 municipalities on the way they're dispatching the ambulances, which is very similar to what we're now doing. So it'll be interesting to see where that court case goes. Instead of following the township's run cards, they're doing their own. And that has been a source up on Lackawanna County. So
Interesting.
Do you have a list of services that are included in the borough paid fee?
it's everyone in the county we do reciprocal agreements with. But Lifeline,
I guess
but Lifeline is only if you're in our municipalities taking, like if they come in here.
my point is, I think it'd be good to educate the public on it, what they have access to, because unless
I think they know that.
you're coming to the borough council meeting or reading the minutes or watching the video or whatever, and or you were a member of your service prior to the borough paying for it for everybody, they might not know.
But Randy.
We can get that on the website too, with no problem.
I'm less than a citizen, but I can ask. And I want to say that might have hit the deadline for.
That's all right, next time, we'll get it.
Probably should have done it a year ago, but
But again, yeah,
No
just,
doubt.
you know, for non-emergency
Yeah.
transports, if you're at a hospital and need to be transported to another hospital, tell them you request your service,
Yeah.
not someone else, because they're gonna take it their own and their rates are a lot higher than other services.
I guess
Right, not even
transfer it by
another-
tower.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
very good. Thank you. Anybody else have anything?
I just want to commend Tony for how much care he took for our resident, because he even offered his cell phone number while he was away. So, much appreciated.
All righty. Thank you, sir. And we'll move on to West Side Emergency Management. Tom?
Okay, things have been pretty quiet, other than the day that the rainstorm dumped inches and inches of rain in our immediate area. We did assist the fire department with evacuating some of the hotel guests at the Hampton Inn, which was quite an event, I guess we'll call it. Several floors were flooded and electric and alarm systems were put out of service for some time. But that would have been our major event here for the last month or so. Other than that, we have some training sessions coming up, one of which includes radiological awareness, which is tied in with the Limerick has their semi-annual, or not annual, biannual, I should say, training with that, and we get involved with some of that, with some of the evacuation areas. Other than that, it's been quiet. How what?
Like twice. Listen, I file a complaint that you say the word Q twice. If we have something major, I'm coming to your house, picking you up, and you're coming with me.
What he's saying is we appreciate
Oh, that's-
bringing up it was a quiet month, but don't talk about it.
I should know better.
Hey, anything else?
No, that's it.
Any questions for Tom? Very good. Hey, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Moving on to the police department. Chief?
Good afternoon. So the first is talking about Lawndale Road and stop signs. So I think that you asked for this to be on. So I don't know if you want to talk about what you wanted to discuss.
I've done a lot of research. I've gone down many rabbit holes. And I understand that I understand first off that stop signs cannot be used as traffic calming. I do believe traffic calming measures need to happen on Lawndale, as it is a road that is consistently used to bypass State Hill Road. If we can just quickly pop down Lawndale, I want to start with Woodland and Lawndale. We have a three-way stop there, which is totally great, but the Lawndale side of it is missing the three-way stop, the three-way underneath of the sign. The other two say three-way, but that one does not. I'm not sure if that's something that we can add. When you look at Lawndale and Edgedale, the stop signs make sense because Edgedale is a roadway with a lower classification. It's a very small road. When you go down to Daleview, for some reason, Lawndale has the stop signs. Daleview has two very tiny little dead end roads, and why Lawndale would be the one with stop signs conflicts with determining minor road for unsignalized intersections, when in fact Daleview should have the stop signs, not Lawndale. And this is me saying switch the stop sign from Lawndale. My concern is when you get from Daleview all the way down to Tewksbury, when Lawndale turns into Warwick down there, there are no stop signs on Valley, Wingert, or Vista. Yet on all three of those roads, you'll see they have repetitive stops all the way down. I don't believe Lawndale is a higher use road if we're able to remove the traffic that is cutting through. And as per Chapter 12 in PennDOT, the primary objectives of traffic calming measures are to reduce speeding and to reduce the volume of cut-through traffic on neighborhood streets. So I think it's imperative we find a way to do that. But I also do believe that some of these stop signs should be altered on either Valley and Vista or on Winger, because I believe the traffic through here is, if you look at determining minor road, when two roads that have relatively equal volume, speeds, and other characteristics, there's different things you can do. And I believe that specifically Downing probably has more true traffic than Lawndale does.
Downing, you mean to, where it becomes.
Downing, where Vista, yeah, Downing turns into Vista.
Three roads.
Yes. Additionally, Mayfair, for some reason, is definitely a lower class road, a lower utilized road, but there are three-way stops on both Downing and Valley, which seems extreme. And on the Valley side, there's no three-way signage, and it's missing on the Downing side. Mayfair's also being considered the primary method of transportation when in fact Wingert definitely supersedes. And so I believe that stop signs in general are not necessarily following the guidelines. I think in addition to looking at the guidelines and what we can probably easily alter with department approval, and I think it's kind of a little sketchy on whether we actually need it. According to some of the paperwork I have, I think we need to take into account other traffic calming measures. My assumption is that this tiny little Daleview Road has stop signs on it, perhaps to allow children to cross there from school, because I believe they're exiting school in that general area. So it's stopping traffic so kids can cross. If that's the case, then I think we need pedestrian crosswalks for the kids. We need pedestrian signs like we put out in front of the post office, more so than just these two stop signs. If kids are crossing, I believe a lot of kids have to get across Lawndale. I don't know a lot, but there's plenty of kids who have to get across Lawndale to get down into Valley, Wingert, or Vista towards State Hill to get to their homes. And the only place for them to cross the road is Daleview. That's not all I have, but there's my starting points. There are no school crossing guards in Wyomissing Hills. There's one there's a teacher who's hired to cross people in front of the school. Okay.
That's a resident there.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That is a resident there, but that's the only place. They used to be up at the top of the hill. They are no longer there.
Somebody there the other day.
Maybe they're back again, but they've been missing
Because
for
the
years.
person who works down in front of the school, because they live up there, I thought that's where they would be, and I was surprised not to see them there. It was another person. So there's two.
Okay. I know at one point last year, I believe one of the aides, kindergarten aides, was hired as the crossing guard in front of the school. I can tell you when my daughter, who's now in 9th grade, was in kindergarten, 1st grade, there was a crossing guard up. You're talking about where Woodland turns into Grandview and meets with Overhill. There used to be a crossing guard.
Yeah.
And then for several years, there was not. The assumption was the kids are crossing and then they can stay on their own road to get into Margaret and Darlin. Somebody like my daughter, had she walked, she would have had to cross the street no matter what, somewhere without a crossing guard. There were many years without a crossing guard there.
I could just say the first day of school, I was at the Hills in the high school, and I talked to Dr. Woodard and Mike Conficelli, and they have all their crossing guards this year.
Okay.
Stay or not, I don't know,
New,
but
but I'll.
they have
I live a
crossing
couple
guards
blocks
for
away.
every,
Awesome.
where they decided they need them, they have them.
Well, they don't, I'll say they don't have them down on Daleview. I think the only two that they have
Yeah,
are in front of the school
again, they
and then up at the top.
They decide where they.
Right. So that's why I say I assume the reason Daleview stop signs are where they are is to perhaps allow children to cross there. But I think it requires more than just stop signs.
As far as where the stop signs are posted now, that is when we merged in 2002. That's where the former borough of Wyomissing Hills had them put up, and how they decide, I have no idea. I was just an officer at the time, so
Yeah.
I
think
can't
it's,
speak to any of that.
I think it's something we need to look into from a standpoint of higher, minor roads versus, higher classified roads. Because in all of Old Wyomissing, you have a stop sign every other intersection.
I think what,
But
I
for
know
a
what we're.
lot of places.
I
Like,
know what we're gonna need to do everything you're saying is a traffic study is gonna need to be done. We just can't go ahead and do that kind of stuff. We're gonna have to do traffic studies.
But if you don't want people flying down Lawndale, why would you remove the stop signs?
Well, there's only one stop sign on Lawndale, and it's across Daleview, which is a stop sign that nobody follows because there's zero traffic coming across that road. That road only shoots out maybe 20 feet on either
I
side.
wouldn't characterize it that zero people follow. I mean, people stop at that stop sign.
Is this something I can reach out to Greg Richardson at Traffic Planning and Design, who's our traffic engineer, to ask him to weigh in on? And that would be my suggestion.
Well, I think if there's any consideration that the committee wants to pursue modification of the stop intersections out there, we need a traffic study, and then the traffic study, if it justifies the changes, would have to be followed by an ordinance change. And, I think it sounds like there are existing concerns that you've identified, and these will be amplified by the road project that's coming eventually.
Yes.
And so I think perhaps the conversation with the traffic engineer could be to look at existing conditions, but also to try to anticipate impacts from the proposed PennDOT road project on State Hill. I don't know if there's any funding out there for this. I mean, I know that when PennDOT does road projects and they cause damages to municipal roads for detour purposes, they will pay for road repairs on identified detours.
Well, they have already stated that they are not going to use Lawndale as an identified detour.
They got their detour plan last year.
They've told us that. That doesn't mean every single person who
No,
travels
that's
down State
exactly
Hill
right.
doesn't already know
Just because
that
it's
they're
not
gonna-
an identified
Right.
detour
They're still
doesn't
going
mean
to
that it's
use
gonna
it.
be used. Right.
And since the plan has been changed again.
Well, despite the plan even
No, wait,
happening.
what I'm trying to say is, I asked the representatives from PennDOT that were here. I said, so what's that going to do for the residents of the hills? And they said, we're looking into that. So now we went from, oh, that's not going to be the route to, well, we're looking into it. So that's as much as we get from PennDOT. So
I just,
surprised to even hear them say that much.
If we would, Jen, if we would get a revised, if they propose an alternate detour route, they would have to send that to us. They sent their route last year it was sent to police, fire, myself, our traffic engineer. We were given, 30 or 60 days to review and comment.
Gave a bunch of
Yeah.
comments.
they said it wasn't Lawndale.
Correct.
Right, but what I'm saying is Lawndale is currently being
Yes.
used as a detour route. So everybody will continue to use it as a detour route versus going all the way down to Paper Mill for a detour.
Possibly, but possibly not, because I would expect they're gonna close some of those intersection entrances to State Hill that people are dead ending.
When people are bypassing State Hill, they're coming in on Woodland and exiting on Wellington.
Which, I mean, as someone that's done it, yes, but what I'm saying is, if all of that area is under construction for roundabout, people aren't gonna be able to exit or enter, because I have a feeling they're gonna be dead ending into nothing. Like, they're gonna hit where they wanna get back on State Hill Road and end up with a barricade, because those points are gonna be shut off for construction.
I was told we would never be completely shut off on State Hill Road. It was a conversation.
I'm sure there's gonna be openings in between, but I mean, again, how do you construct a roundabout at, say, Woodland without shutting down that entrance point onto State Hill Road?
They do it in pieces. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's
do
done.
think they'll maintain some level of traffic flow, even though they're building those roundabouts. But
Well, would a traffic study now also bolster the argument that as a result of constructing the roundabouts, they're using the alternate and justify reimbursement? If we had a baseline.
Last month in my report to council, I had in there what our signs picked up, because I had our signs there. And the speed itself at the north and southbound northbound was 24.73 and southbound was 25.37. So they're right at the speed limit. For total volume, if you ever really looked at it, I mean, I don't read this report in, full, but it's there for everybody to view. The total volume for that month that I had it up going southbound was 15,280 cars with an average of 664.3 cars per day. And then northbound, the total volume was 30,437 with an average volume of 1,521.9. So 1,520.
Yeah, they're absolutely coming off of State Hill
So,
Road.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're
I would
getting-
suggest traffic calming
Looks
measures.
like northbound, it's getting more cars than southbound. So
Yeah.
that would be going from Woodland toward Valley.
Yeah.
So Valley towards Woodland, it's about half.
That's because the road goes from 2 lanes to 1 lane. So they all jump into Woodland and run down Lawndale to avoid that.
So, I mean, that's about what our signs are picking up. Now, a traffic study is gonna,
Let's reach out and see what the traffic study can show us. And
Yeah, I think those
Better-
numbers.
I mean, the first step is gonna be to get an estimate.
Exactly, yeah.
To take the finance.
Yeah, I would like to ask that we get an estimate. I'd also like to figure out how to prove that these numbers are incredibly skewed, that this is not neighborhood traffic. Those numbers are incredibly high. This is not neighborhood traffic, this is State Hill traffic. And even
I
if
don't
we're
know.
not going
Prove
to,
that from the study, just.
even if we're not able to alter stop signs, which I believe should be an easy enough process, if we can't do that, then I think we also need to take into account other traffic calming measures, such as putting pedestrian signs on Daleview and possibly putting speed humps in to slow down traffic, which are allotted for traffic, which are a proper designation of the traffic calming for reduced speeding and to reduce the volume of cut-through traffic on neighborhood streets.
The pushback on that has always been snow plowing, but
If the humps are created properly, it can be possibly.
Do we want to
We've
keep
got to
this
come
at
up with
fire
a
and
plan.
police, or do we want to move this?
Yeah.
It's going to turn into
Well, yeah.
infrastructure.
No, I would keep this at fire and
Keep
police
it, okay.
for now.
Like I said, as far as speed goes, what I show, they're not speeding.
Is there a way to track speeding without them seeing this sign that tells them they should be slowing down? Because I think you'd get more believable numbers that way.
I don't know, I don't think people care.
Right, absolutely. But
Nothing that we have. They're gonna put those strips on the roads, and that's gonna do a count, and I think they can probably do speeds off of that when they do it.
They do.
But people, I mean, I don't know how they're gonna react when they, they see those strips, if they slow down or not.
yeah,
Every time when we put those signs up in that, we don't see a speeding issue. Again, signs perhaps are doing what it's making people see that and gives them another reason to slow down. I'll never say that, I know I've said this before, people speed on every road every day in this country, you know what I mean? But the average or the 85th percentile, they're doing the speed limit. So I guarantee people speed on that road at some point, for sure.
yeah, I just.
It's just looking like
speeding
when
along-
I get the majority
Yeah.
are not. And, as far as signs goes, I think, that to me is easy. As far as anything else, if the committee and council want to do it, then that's beyond me per se. I just, what I have is what I can show.
I just started laughing.
And that's what it shows.
But we're going to start with the cost analysis, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
I got to admit, I'm impressed with your homework.
Oh, thank you. I would also like just to really quickly request that we put the three-way small signs underneath the stop signs on the corner, on the intersections of Downing and Mayfair, the intersections of Valley and Mayfair, and the intersection of Lawndale and Woodland. They're all missing three-way. Some or all of them are missing three-way in those three intersections
Again, that's,
for listening to me, everyone.
I don't know if it has to go to planning because there's a cost associated.
It will once I'll start the conversation with TPD and ask them to prepare some type of cost estimate.
Because five signs are missing. Little three-way.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna have those installed if potential stop sign locations maybe change, but on the other side of the study being performed.
Well, two of the three intersections are not on Lawndale. They're on Mayfair.
I understand that, but not knowing what the study's gonna recommend, I don't wanna waste money on signs that may get moved or relocated.
Okay.
Or may not be necessary.
I never understood what the three-way stop sign does for you. You have a stop sign, just stop. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
arguing.
well, my consideration would be somebody at Lawndale who doesn't have that three-way is now waiting and worried if they're not noticing the other three ways that people are gonna come through instead of knowing that the other two are gonna stop. I think that's
Or
the,
they're stopping too long.
yeah,
Got it.
I'm playing both sides of the coin here.
We did the one.
These are the issues that I
We did
see.
the one at Reading Forest, okay? Because at times there's vehicles parked there and they can't see, so they're zipping.
Well, that's the same
right across. So
situation at
that's why
Wood-
that was there, and that's why the one at Evans and Reading is also like that. Okay, we'll see what the report shows.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on the stop signs? Okay, Chief?
So can you bring up, so a couple months ago at this meeting, President was talking about, I don't think he ever actually made public comment, I don't remember, but he was talking with me for sure about a covered vehicle in his neighborhood. And it was prior to that, I had tried to do something about another one. So there are at least 3 locations in the borough that I know of that have these covered vehicles and they're on a public road. To 2 of them, I have sent a letter. I think you have the template for as well. And trying to just let them know that basically uncover your vehicle or move it off the road, because a vehicle to be on the road has to be registered, inspected, insured, and we can't tell what the vehicle is with it covered on the public roadway. So with two of them, I took a guess because of where they're located, and the vehicles remain. So I figure one of three things happened. I guessed right as to who the owner was, and they just disregarded the letter. Second, I guessed wrong, and whoever got the letter just disregarded it. Or third, it got lost in the mail and nobody got it. But either way, the cars are still parked there. And we have no way of knowing what the status of those cars, because I can't even tell what kind of car they really are. You kind of take a guess, and that's why with two of them, we have who I thought maybe they were, cars in the system, in our system that we kind of think kind of matches that outline, but I can't say for sure because I don't know. So
I'm surprised your letter didn't give one option of calling us to give you permission to look at it.
well, I'm trying to be nice and just ask him to take care of it, as you could
It's a
see.
very well-written letter, Chief.
So
I commented the first time you sent that out.
the point is, nothing's being done about it. And the Sixth Circuit, I guess it was, saying chalking a tire for parking timing is illegal. It's an illegal search. It is my belief, if we were to go and lift up that cover to try to look at that registration, look at that inspection, would be an illegal search.
Chief,
So-
I have a question. I didn't research this issue, but is there anything in the vehicle code about covering your license plate? Like if you're traveling on the
Yes,
road,
if you're traveling, it has to be, you have to be able to view the license plate. Yes.
how
Can't be
is
obstructed.
how is this different though? They're within the public right of way, parked along the side of the street. Why wouldn't it be the same thing? And again, I haven't researched it, but I'm just concerned that maybe it's violating that section of the vehicle code that applies to covering your license.
Yeah, but then who do you cite if you don't?
Okay, well then, if we have an obvious violation because they're covering their license, couldn't we go to the DJ and get a search warrant to identify the owner? Seems to me there'd be, possible basis for getting a warrant in that situation.
What I'm saying, again, I don't like to say what I don't know, but I am pretty sure that it talks about that section of the vehicle code talks about operating a motor vehicle on a highway.
Okay. Well,
So the vehicle's not being operated at this point. It's sitting there parked.
okay.
So that's going to be in the chapter 13. I can research that
Yeah, well, one of us should.
a little bit here, but I'm pretty sure that that's how that. So, but I think this just goes, we don't have a big problem. As I said, there may be more, but I drove around the borough and I saw those three and I snapped a picture to get it.
There's a few over in the hills. I think it's unsightly, and I'll renew my interest that,
Over, I didn't see it. You know
I
where?
forget offhand now where,
Heights or-
but the heights are some, including even a covered boat that was parked on the street, on a trailer. But I'm going to renew what I brought up several times. I think it's unsightly. If you want to cover your vehicle, cover it in a good way. And, I'll renew my interest in exploring just an ordinance of not having covered vehicles on public streets in the borough.
It's not a zoning issue, because zoning only applies within the boundaries of a lot. So we have to look at the vehicle code is our best option within the public right of way.
Is there,
Whether there's,
I know the city of Reading has one that's storage of vehicles. Is there something like that the borough can look at?
I have to research that and see what basis that ordinance was enacted. I don't know what the authority was for it. Maybe the city ordinance has some indication of the authority for that regulation. But, I mean, it seems to me there ought to be something we can do about it, but I'm not sure what the means would be to regulate it.
I think it's got to be an ordinance, it's just what the authority for it and, what it actually says.
Is there any
You as the expert.
point in time where a vehicle that has sat on a public road for X number of days, months, whatever, becomes considered abandoned?
If a vehicle, per the vehicle code, is registered, inspected, insured, and operable, it can park there forever.
Does our electronic viewer thing pick up all three of those things? Registration, owner,
the
and
LPL would be.
inspection?
The
Well,
registrations.
just registration, not,
It also pops insurance, doesn't it?
It's got
Pops
to,
insurance.
because, well, something does, because in the blotter, there've been a lot of entries lately about being pulled over for lapsed insurance, and then people.
If an officer runs the registration,
Oh, okay.
it will come up in the system that they're running it off of.
Gotcha, so it's an extra
Clean
step.
NCIC, through PennDOT. Our LPR systems are not, those are hitting on if a registration is entered into that system, like maybe a wanted person, or it's a stolen car or something like that, and that hits, that's then hitting off of that.
It's not gonna tell you if the car is out of inspection either.
Correct.
So I think it's something we need to explore more. So if we can look into what the city's doing, I mean, I don't know about everyone else, personally, buy a car, if I had to look out every day and see a covered car and
Yeah.
parked in front of my house, I'd be a little.
Well, I mean, I think it, to me, it's they're storing their car on there because they're not obviously using it. So, but we can't tell if it's registered, inspected, or insured, and for it to be on the roadway, we have to be able to do that. All right, and then finally, every year, before homecoming, the school district runs a parade. This year, they're changing it up a bit because it's usually in West Reading, but it starts at the elementary school and it went down to their field by their pool. I guess there's some stuff going on, so they can't do it. So they're asking to bring it through Wyomissing. They're still going to start in West Reading, come down Chestnut, we'll turn into Wayne Avenue and end up at Happy Hollow. So they have submitted the sessions permit to me. They have on here on the application that it's the Wyomissing Parents Association. I'm working with the school. What I don't have yet is their insurance that they have to. When this was dropped off, I asked about it. They said that they gave it to us for a permit or for some work already. And I've gone to the school now and to the athletic department saying we need this. So I'm told I'm going to have it. I don't have it yet. But we have everything else for their permit to do this parade to Happy Hollow for homecoming.
You need a permit for the bonfire?
Already issued,
That's not through me. That's through
That's-
different.
already issued on Friday.
And where exactly is this bonfire going to be?
Basically on the outfield of the baseball field. I was out there with Public Works, Fire, and the school district. They've measured out the distance. It complies with everything. We're gonna have two employees from the fire department on site, on staff to overtime to monitor everything from the second they set it up until the fire goes out. Same way we've done it before at other locations.
And school pays to replace the grass?
Yeah, they know they need to return everything to the initial conditions. They'll actually be back the day after too with a metal detector to get all of the nails that are in the pallets, which is what's used for the bonfire.
We had it there years ago.
We originally looked at doing it at the Stone House, but there was nowhere that it met the distance requirements from everything, like trees, everything else, other than in the pond, and that's not ideal.
They run, when they did it years ago, maybe 10 years ago, they did it right in front of the steps of the pavilion at Happy Hollow.
Fred, are you gonna,
At Happy Hour.
you gonna date yourself or you want me to?
It was
That meeting.
in about
It's actually your property. They're like, what?
2008,
Years ago,
7, 10.
the high, what was it, high club,
Not the two individuals.
they collected all the
High Y.
Christmas trees.
High
High
Y.
Y, the High Y Club at this high school, they collected all the trees. And with the help of borough pickup trucks. And then they would dump them and have a big bonfire across from the pool. And, which was kind of a spectacular ordeal at the time.
And Mr. Milford's senior English investigative theme notes.
Are you saying that I think you said it's the parents club, I think it's probably the football parent club.
I would imagine, yeah.
But the band's involved, I mean, cheerleaders are involved, it's not just football, it's all the other sports are there.
I don't know.
She said
This was
in
always
years
in
past,
West
it was
Reading,
like
so-
200 parents. Well, like 200, because we asked the question at that initial meeting, are we talking 10 people or are we talking 10,000 people? And she said
It's not a huge number of
It's
people.
typically 200 students participate plus
I haven't
band.
been there in a long time, but if they have 400 people there, it's a lot. But it's all the different sports.
Yeah,
It's not just
no,
football.
she said it was athletes across the board, all senior athletes,
And
Yeah.
the homecoming court,
yes.
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So Chief, you're asking for permission pending the rest of the documentation
That's correct.
that you received?
So moved.
We have a motion, somebody wish to make a second? Motion and second, further question? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, we'll move it on.
They need insurance for the bonfire in West Reading. I mean, I used to be the head of the parents club. I don't remember us having insurance for anything.
That's just
Why
part
would
of
we?
our rules for having the parades like this. What it is, it's a parade. So block parties, I can just give permission to people, but
Yeah,
For parades,
I'm surprised that the parents club has, I don't know what they have insurance for.
I think it's gonna go to the school.
That would be,
That
would make
I
sense.
went Friday and asked, and I forget her name, but
All my
she works for Frank.
comments, like 15 more times, you get an answer, one of them.
I think it's, whoever that is that works for Frank. Asked her.
Kayla.
Karen or Kate?
Kayla.
Was it Kayla?
Yeah, then it goes to the administration. Good luck. Gets buried down there.
Okay.
I can't imagine for my parents.
Then just as far as the recent shootings, I kind of talked about the one already. We're still working, but we do need some help. Second one got into the paper. I did not want it to go out actually when it did. The district attorney's office failed to put a lock on that arrest warrant for 72 hours, a hold. I wanted to give our people time to try to find them before they disappeared. But it is what it is. It went out. So we have a warrant for 2 individuals. They are 15, as we said. They've been charged as adults. The shooter has been charged with attempted homicide as the highest charge. Highest charge for the other is a robbery and weapons violations. He's actually the one that bought the weapon. So we are looking for them. We've put the paperwork in for the Berks County Sheriff's and Marshall's Task Force to start helping out with this as well, to try to find them. We believe at least one is not here anymore. They've probably moved on to some other areas where we think. The other, we're not sure. We thought actually he was going to turn himself in, but as of now, he has not. So we're still looking for both of them. So they've done a lot of work on both these cases. There's a lot of surveillance videos for the second one that really helped us put things together. Able to locate them. We were able to see where they went. They've done a lot of search warrants on cell phone records and things like that. So a lot of work's been done on both cases so far. So hopefully we have the 2 in custody shortly, and we make some positive steps forward on the other one.
Very good. Anything else for the chief? Thank you, sir. Fire department. Chief Bear.
I would like to say thank you to Captain Seitz, who was able to pull the August activity report together. Pretty self-explanatory. He did note, in terms of if you're comparing this to prior monthly reports, there are some numbers that are off in terms of invoicing and fire loss. He's not sure if that's because he's pulling something different than what former Chief Holmes was, or where that discrepancy was coming from, but at this point, it kind of is what it is. Anybody have any questions on the month-to-date report? Okay. Moving on, I was able to send the link to register to the 5 candidates that are moving forward in the entry-level process for firefighter EMT. There are different testing dates they are eligible to sign up for the CPAT test. So I'll have the results, I think it's September 26th. The final results of the CPAT test, which will determine of those 5 which are eligible to go on the eligibility list the Civil Service Commission will then need to certify, and that is the list that will be used to make a recommendation to hire off of. Regarding the hiring process for the fire chief, that went live last week. As of this morning, I think we had 11 applicants. I will say of those 11, from what Melissa and I looked at, I want to say there were 2 that we felt were worthwhile of moving forward in the interview process. A lot of EMS experience for the 11, but not necessarily any fire.
You have to talk about me now. No.
But that application period is open through next Friday, so Melissa and I are gonna meet the morning of the 8th to go over what was submitted. Other thing to note, the job advertisement very clearly says that they must provide copies of their certifications to be considered eligible. Not everybody can follow directions, so they may disqualify themselves by not doing that. There was a request for a redesign of the graphics for the fire chief's vehicle to mirror what is being done for, at this point now, the relief utility pickup truck. Let me get to those photos. So this is what the existing graphic design is on the chief's vehicle. I personally don't think it's clearly identified as an emergency vehicle. This is the concept that had been prepared for the deputy chief vehicle, so obviously that's not happening. But this is what the back of the chief's vehicle would look like if re-graphicked. And then this is the side view of what the chief's vehicle would look like. This would be an unbudgeted expense of $3,530.58. For what it's worth, of the almost $15,000 in equipment that former Chief Holmes had ordered for the deputy chief vehicle, I was able to get 10-8 to agree to restock all of it, other than some super special light bar that nobody else orders that they had no use for. On the plus side, the fire chief's vehicle does not have an external light bar, so we're going to have that light bar that they couldn't restock installed on the chief's vehicle. That is actually going in Wednesday to be installed. And then it would just be the graphic package on top of that.
Is there a restocking fee?
I'm sorry,
Was there a restocking fee
for what?
for the $15,000 of stuff that
They waived that.
took back? Okay.
Some of the graphics, I think it's important to note, graphics in the fire service are as important as a contributor towards morale as having a nice looking fire truck that's functional. And so this just goes along with it. I teased Chief Holmes when I first saw the chief's car, and I said, is this going to be undercover for the police department also, when I saw it. NFPA has numerous standards when it comes to a chief's vehicle. And the last one I did submit to the chief, the latest conversation is that the chief's vehicle, being a command vehicle, has to be one of the most seen vehicles on location at an incident. And ours certainly is not. So this is why these changes are important. I think it's also important to say that these will look identical to the utility truck. Do you have a picture of that?
I don't.
Here? Okay, it's identical to this. That the Relief Association, the volunteer fire company, is paying for those graphics.
I'd also like to add, because we're both remiss in sharing, Jeff Smith, employed in the fire department, this was his graphic design
That's
that,
what I was going to say next.
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
Go ahead.
I want to give Jeff credit that he spent a lot of time and effort on coming up with this graphic package, and I think he did a fabulous job. I told him he has a retirement career as a graphics designer.
That's exactly what I said to him also. You know, so, but we are going to need a motion to table, approve, or deny, recommending the Finance Committee review the cost to re-graphic the chief's vehicle and recommend council approve the cost of $3,530.58. And I will make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Hi, Steve. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move it on to finance.
I can say no with finance.
Speaking of finance, in regards to current year budget, there was 10,000 budgeted for mattresses and wardrobes. Those were purchased, mattresses were purchased 2 weeks ago, and I just made the order for the wardrobes this morning. Everything is right at the $10,000 amount, so we are on budget. And the mattresses are already in. The wardrobes are going to be delivered, I believe, end of next week.
You couldn't save $3,500.
Where's that money?
Sorry. Just an update that Glick has performed the annual service and testing for both the ladder and the engine. There was some, I'm gonna call it very minor damage to the engine from a vehicular accident that's going back in the near future. It's really like 2 panels on the side that need to be taken off, reinstalled. And that's because oh no, it is the ladder, isn't it? Because the warnings for the aerial piece are on that one. I take it back, it's the ladder, not the engine. But that should be out of service for a relatively short period of time while those repairs are being made, and that is all covered by insurance and not our fault. Finally, the open house is scheduled for October 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. I'm not going to be able to attend this year because I will be on vacation, but I'm working with the guys at the station to make sure they have everything they need for that.
We advertise that to the schools.
Sorry?
We advertise it to the schools.
Yes, and they're pretty booked in October already for school visits because it's fire prevention month. Normally October, especially that first week, is the week that they're out at the kindergartens, the schools, to visit with the kids and talk about fire prevention. So that was always handled through someone that was not the chief. Captain Yeager is actually the point of contact for that. So I've had that conversation with him to make sure nothing's falling through the cracks. And we went over dates that he has, which there are several for fire prevention.
To the school advertise that there's an open house.
Oh, I don't know, but we could certainly ask.
Yeah, I would ask them to post it through like Parent Square. They put out, if we have any kind of flyer or visual, all that we would have to do is share with them. They could post it through Parent Square with the date and time.
I will tell you, last year's open house was
It's ready.
probably better attended than any I had been at. Tom and Bill. I
I'm almost thinking we should change it to 5 to 8. A lot of people came early, little kids and so forth.
I thought we only did it from 6 to 8 last year.
We did, but kids were there early.
Oh,
And historically, we've done it 6 to 8 because that's when, the fire company always did it, because that is when training night was. That's just why those times were
Starting
never
it
changed.
at 6, anybody who's doing an extracurricular activity, whether it's a sport, band, or anything else, they're practicing right after school. Of
Okay,
course, it's young kids generally, so that maybe it's not as much, I don't know.
Younger kids are only starting about that time.
Yeah, the real little ones
They gotta wait.
are starting at that time.
They gotta wait till the high school stuff.
then we should keep it at that time, from 6 to 8, which is fine. I mean, the doors are open and certainly if somebody comes in at 5:30, we're going to be welcome.
Cupcakes will be there.
I will be there if anybody in FD needs, while you're on vacation or anything, have them contact me. So, and but we'll make sure it's on the website, fire department website, the big board advertisement, for lack of a better word, that'll be out in front of the station for all to see driving past. So, yeah, and let's see if we can, at least make it known to the schools.
So we put it on the, where we put all the activities, stargazing and all that
You
stuff.
like the rec board stuff?
I don't know if Randy has room for that right now, just because there's so many other events going on.
Well, have them
It's a
look at
good problem to have.
yeah, it is. I mean, it's great. We're doing so much stuff, but,
We could send.
if we can take something off for temporarily put this on, only reason I'm saying is because this is life-saving education.
No, I understand that, but keep in mind there are two-sided signs that he orders in advance to go.
Right.
So I don't know that there's something he can take off, but we can certainly put it out through email blast. We can put it on the website. He can put it out through our social media channels.
Very good.
Public comment?
No. No. Is there anything else for Michelle? Very good. Thank you. Anybody else from the committee have any comments they want to make?
Not that we're going to do anything about it, but it seems the common thread in today's meeting is people losing their sense of community. That we have some speeding things we talked about, cars that are covered sitting on the public street, parties that get out of control. It just seems like people don't give a damn about their neighbors. And that's distressing.
Sad.
I agree. Any other comments? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.